Biggest news of the week probably was the whole bunch of news dropped about Spider-Man coming to PS4. Which
we got a release date.
Game. Yeah, we got some
box cover.
Yeah,
it's all gorgeous.
One of the big pieces of news that I'm very excited about is that there's going to be a ton of costumes.
Yes.
And they're not going to be like crappy cosmetic microtransaction DLCs. Insomniac has been very adamant that it's not microtransaction stuff. I think they announced that there's going to be Spider-Punk, which is a pre-order bonus, and then there will be DLC that has extra costumes with it. But for the most part, there are going to be costumes in the game.
You'll be able to unlock them in game,
like Mario Odyssey,
right?
Spider-Man.
So I want to say real quick, I enjoy the Batman Arkham games. I feel like the way those guys rolled out costumes was a nightmare for any sort of completionist or anybody who really likes collecting different Batman costumes. Because I remember being like, okay, so I didn't get this version, I didn't pre-order this version, I didn't get this one from this store or this one over here. How do I get that? How do I get the classic Batman?
Yeah, I tried to. I think you had to like give me a code for the Adam West one or something, and I couldn't get it to work, and you had to like start it. It was something. It was complicated. It was a mess, which shouldn't be how that is, especially because it's it's an iconic
especially because
character.
like I actually care about those things. At the end of the day, I played that entire game with the Adam West skin because it was really funny.
I wish he'd done the VO for it.
I know, me too. Me too.
Where's Barbara? We're trying to find her. Anyway, with Spider-Man, obviously he's got a ton of iconic costumes, so we figured we'd run down a bunch of them that we want in the game, and hopefully somebody at Insomniac is watching, and they already have some of these. Obviously, first and foremost, the most iconic Spider-Man costume, if you can even call it that, the black costume, the alien symbiote, the Venom's pajamas, as it's known.
Mm-hmm. This is probably my favorite, my single favorite Spider-Man costume ever. And it's so simple, right? But it's just so gorgeous.
I mean, if you half-ass it, it's also possible that they're like, oh no, instead of shooting web, it's gonna shoot like parts of itself. Or, allow him to do. In the case of the Spider-Punk costume, I know that it's basically got different abilities, which is cool. So yeah, I hope they put this in there. I think they will, unless they're holding off on Venom until like a second game.
That's true, or some DLC. I think what's coolest about this costume is that it shows you how iconic the Spider-Man design is, because when you break it down to its like most minimalistic, it still completely works. It's like Mickey Mouse's ears or something like that.
Yeah.
You see that shape of that face and those eyes and the spider, and you're like, you know what it is immediately.
Yeah, it's awesome. Iron Spider, obviously much more recent. I'm curious to see how Iron Spidery the Avengers costume is, because obviously they've got Pete wearing that in Infinity War. In that case, it's kind of the regular Spider-Man costume with some like gold trim, but the comic book version of Iron Spider has like legs on it and stuff. It's kind of overkill. It's also like totally overpowered. But I mean, I think that would be a good fit because people obviously are into that. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you get tricky with mechanics there because it's got to have basically extra moves.
Errol M in the Twitch chat says, in the PS1 game, the symbiote costume has unlimited webbing. So
that's a good. I like that.
I like that.
Yeah.
Because like at the end of the day, these are video games, right? And so like make them fun.
Yeah, you got to think mechanically.
Yeah. Good call.
I know a lot of people want this one. Scarlet Spider, not technically Spider-Man, but I think that's easy enough. You just get a hoodie and you cut the sleeves off because it's 1996 or whatever. And, give them some different web spinners.
Maybe the bracelets.
Yeah, I love those things. Those weird, they're just a cool design.
Yeah.
It's so 90s. It looks like Cable's epaulettes or whatever, but on Spider-Man. Yeah, I don't know how deep they're going to go into like different tangled web characters of Spider-Man. I'm still not entirely sure how the whole Clone Saga plays out. I should probably get on that at some point, but yeah, Spider-Man. Spider-Man 2099 obviously is a good fit. I remember when like 2099 universe like popped up. It was like this. I think they were actually taking it seriously. Yeah. And then it became this sort of campy thing after the fact.
Yeah, that was a sort of. I was super into comics at the time, and that was like an event, right?
Yeah,
as they call it. And so getting all the number ones was a big thing. They all had hologram covers. They were like, you would buy two, and like one would be to display and like one would be to read and stuff like that. And they were really special because it made us understand that these characters are sort of eternal. And also 2099 back then seemed like an impossibly far away time.
Yeah, now it's like it's 2018. It's like it's not that far off.
Not that far. Yeah, we won't make it.
Yeah, also I like that this one has like a little cape. You think like like the future. What does it hold? And it's like a little cape. Okay, fine. Now you got to have this one, the original Steve Ditko retro classic Spider-Man with the webbing under his little glider on his wings.
Yeah, keep in mind a lot of these aren't just reskins. Like you would have to build a new character model for this because the original Spider-Man, dare I say it myself, was a kind of a chunky boy.
That was a different standard of healthy living back then.
Hell yeah.
People ate a lot more carbs.
There were cakes
Yeah.
and pies every night.
They had only figured out how to make the muscles get so big.
Aunt May was a great baker.
Yeah, they used to sell ads where it was like, "Hey kids, you're trying to muscle up? Well, buy this buy these potions that are just like it's just sugar or whatever."
Yeah,
So,
that's all. But I love this because he's got the really elongated armpit webs.
I love those things. Yeah,
They're really
I would
great.
love it if they just did it like sort of not even cell shaded, but like give it that like 4-color printing effect. That'd be
I feel
really
like
neat.
if he was whipping around New York City in the fall, like he would get out of a whole long day of crime and he would look in those things. There would be like mosquitoes and dead pigeons and leaves and stuff like that.
Well, it's a spider web. What do you expect?
all these
Yeah.
nets just getting caught in my armpits, just
Yeah.
catching all these dead aminals.
I think that's a good look. Now moving on. This is a
Yes.
one. Yeah, you need Spider Ham.
Yes.
If you're gonna be messing around with weird alternate versions of characters, this seems like the one that's such a stupid novelty. But you make it. You have to 100% the game. You got to platinum everything. You got to get all the pain in the ass collectibles. Spider Ham, Peter Porker. What could be better than a pig who is also the Spider-Man?
He's also like
Why
he's
did
so
they- I
weird
don't know
because
why they
he's
made
got
that.
2 faces, and also he's like 3 feet shorter than Spider-Man is.
Yep.
So you'd have to change all the hit detection in the games. 'cause,
it'd be
all of
awful.
his like spin kick animations and punches and stuff like that would only hit like
Yeah.
Sandman and the Nutses.
Yeah, and the only people who'd get it are like weird 45-year-olds who are like, I remember Peter Porker back in the day. So if you go on Wikipedia and you look up the enemies of Peter Porker and that whole universe of Spider-Ham,
Congrats, you have as much free time as we do.
hell yeah. There's an entire Marvel universe of bad animal puns.
Yeah.
We dug into this for a second. It's very stupid. So
It's really, really weird. I kind of hope that makes its way into a game at some point.
yeah, I can't even remember any of them. But some of them are clever. Most
I think
of them are
some
not.
some of them worked into the last Lego Marvel game. I believe they
Yeah.
dragged a couple of those in there.
Yeah, that's probably sounds
Yeah.
about right. Anyway, this one seems like a good bet. I think that is as an homage to the old classic PlayStation 2
Dude, yeah.
games. They should get Spider-Man 2 in like his
Like low poly
like
Spider-Man
really,
2.
and that's like a no-brainer. I feel like to really like PS2 stuff is low poly, but not that low poly. I think it's more likely we're gonna see the original like PS1 Dreamcast Spider-Man game.
Yeah, it's really cool because it's in the same way a lot of us grew up with Nintendo and like old school pixel art and stuff like that. A younger generation grew up with low poly stuff, and that's what they're nostalgic for. I 100%ed a game called Snake Pass last year, which is on Switch. It's kind of like Spider-Man in that it's about like hanging around and collecting stuff. But when you finish that game and 100% it, you unlock a low poly model of him that's just like, it looks like he's made of papercraft.
Well, I mean,
or something that.
recent Tomb Raider, Metal Gear Solid, and Mario Odyssey all did this, where they're like, "Hey, here's the low poly model." I think
Yes.
Spider-Man would definitely have to do that. I don't know if they're going to do PS2 or PS1, but I like that idea.
Yep.
This one you got to do. You got to have the Filmation Spider-Man, otherwise known as the Spider Meme.
Yep.
This just turned into a Spider-Man thread, as he's known to say. I just love these out of context, very goofy looking screen grabs
Oh, they're
where
so
Spider-Man's just doing the worst stuff. I tried to find some that didn't have inappropriate words on them, and it's pretty tricky.
I have such a weird nostalgia for like early internet memes that involve Spider-Man between this and the "How do I shot web,"
Which is funny because that's rooted in a Battlefront question.
Really?
Like the story behind that, like there's that classic meme of Spider-Man being like, "How do I shot web?"
Yeah,
which
it's
is
got
first of all,
Comic Sans.
the comic that panel is pulled from an old Captain Crunch commercial that you'd get in 80s comics. And the question, "How do I shot web?" was something somebody posted on a Battlefront forum because they couldn't figure out how to use the
print screen?
the E-Web blaster cannon.
Oh.
So they were like, "How do I shot web?" And they're trying to say, "How do I shoot the E-Web?"
So it's kind of like how does Baby Metroid crawl or whatever?
How is Babby formed? Yeah. So there's the history of that meme. In any case, I hope that the Spider meme is in there. Finally, we're three Spider-Man actors deep, but there's still one true Spider-Man, and it's Tobey Maguire.
Bonesaw's ready.
I want crappy pajamas, Tobey Maguire DLC.
This is awesome. Come
That's
on.
what he's called, crappy pajamas.
And so we see like Spider-Man's in crappy pajamas all the time. In the new Spider-Man movie, he's got this sort of like hoodie thing going on, like the kind of casual Saturday relaxing gear pajamas. This is the best one because it looks like he spray painted it.
so
It also
awful.
looks like a low budget 90s wrestling costume. Like,
And it's
if
still
you watch
like-
WCW in the 90s or something, this guy would like get punched in the face by Dean Malenko
And also, like,
in a
that
dark
spider
match.
is like way too good. You
Yeah.
know? Like, it doesn't look like he would have to have put down like a stencil and spray painted it. Like, that shows a lot of like. if you're going out there and fighting crime because you've got powers and responsibilities, I feel like you wouldn't spend that much time on like an airbrush t-shirt. Or maybe he went down to the street fair and was like, hey man, you do t-shirt airbrushing? I had this sick idea for a spider design. And some guy's like, all right, fine. Do you want it to say your name anywhere? And he's like, no, I must go nameless. So anyway,
Yeah.
those were our Spider-Man costumes. We want to see it in Insomniac
Who
Spider-Man.
do you guys want? Let us know, because we will bother those people. We will bother everybody working on that game, and we will put them in that game.
We have Insomniac's email address.
Yeah.
It's staff@insomniac.org. I don't know. I don't think that's it.
That's probably not it.
I just doxed him.
Oh, hi. Thanks for watching our video on Spider-Man costumes we want to see in the new game. We want a lot of things here at IGN, and one of the things we really want is to see a bunch of Spider-Man villains in the Spider-Man movies. But who should play them? Well, we figured that out for you in this video, so check it out. After that, we love the X-Men. But are the games dead? They stopped making them. Why? They were great. It was a really good time. So let's talk about the X-Men video games, where they went, where they're going, and if they'll ever come back. Up at noon every Thursday Pacific time on IGN.com. The #1 website for the things that you need to find on IGN.com.